Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for December 10, 2023. Gonna do the Saturday notes for the Week 14 NFL picks against the spread for the 2023 NFL season. So gonna go over some final notes I have before the final thoughts, which we post on Sunday as usual on WalterFootball.com. Also gonna post or talk about player props for every game on the slate except for one, and it's the one at the top. But and I have good reason for that. And then I'm gonna have a same game parlay for the Eagles Cowboys game on Sunday Night Football. So yeah, we're gonna get into all of that. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that will help us out a lot. We are now 107 shy of 4,000 subs. So any help there would be really appreciated. And we also have super chats. As we found out a couple weeks ago. And I've been mistaken. I've been saying that we make like $5 an episode. Not true. We make like $4.50 an episode. So I actually did the math and I was like, oh, I was actually overselling how much we make. So any help there would be really appreciated. Just trying to do the show here. We don't get paid much. And, any help would be awesome, even if it's just like, all right, so yeah, we are live. It is midnight actually, so it is actually December 10th now. So yeah, let's get into the games. Also, you guys, if you guys have any comments or questions, just leave them in the chat. I'll get to all of them. And it doesn't have to be about the picks. It could be about anything football or anything else. It doesn't have to be about football. I'll answer everything, anything, and everything. All right, so Jaguars Browns. So we just had news about an hour ago or like 2 hours ago that the Jaguars are planning to start Trevor Lawrence. This has caused the spread to drop from 3 to 2.5. I still like the Browns though. I don't expect Lawrence to be healthy. Like how healthy could he possibly be coming off that brutal ankle injury? Now maybe he surprises us all, but it's still a very tough matchup against a great pass rush. I just expect the Browns to dominate this game. And I'm hoping the spread keeps dropping. I hope the Jaguars are favored by 1 or something like that, and that'll just give us some great value with Cleveland. I don't have a player prop for this game because we don't know who's going to start for the Browns yet. If it's Joe Flacco, or maybe I don't know if we had that news. I haven't seen it, but like if it is Joe Flacco, I like Elijah Moore. Jaguars not good against slot receivers. If it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I like David Njoku. The Jaguars are also not good against tight ends, but for some reason last week, Joe Flacco just did not target David Njoku. But like Elijah Moore seems to be Flacco's guy. So depends. I might get to this before the game. It's kind of tough Sunday morning because like a million things are happening, but I may post a prop for this game depending on who is announced as the starter for the Browns. Next game is Rams at the Ravens. So I saw some news. I don't know how like accurate this is. It was posted by The Athletic though, so it's not like some rando on Twitter discussing it. But apparently the Ravens have some sort of flu going through the locker room. This has not impacted the spread at all. So maybe it's nothing. But I think that there's a chance that the Ravens are hurt by this. I already like the Rams, so I like them more if that's true. Just don't know how true it is, but I just think this is gonna be a close game. The Rams have been so much better with Kyren Williams. The Ravens are worse without Mark Andrews, and I think the Ravens kind of have some flaws that the Rams can exploit. So, yeah, I think this is gonna be a close one. Cinder says, Walt, sounds like the Eagles are really going to try to run the ball more after being yelled at about it from last week. Could hurt the parlay. Well, I mean, it's so hard to run against Dallas, though. Like, they could try to run the ball. Like, they ran the ball 18 times against with DeAndre Swift against Dallas the first time, and he gained 46 yards. Like, how many times are they going to be able to run the ball if they're trailing, And, like, Dallas's run defense is awesome. I don't see Swift getting there. If you don't want Swift in the parlay, I think that you can maybe go for CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown. As a replacement, or maybe if you're more daring, Brandon Cooks anytime touchdown, you get better odds. So one of them, if you just don't want to include Swift. I just think that Dallas should be able to pass all over the Eagles, and if the Eagles are behind, it's going to be tough for them to run, regardless of how much they want to. Chris says, which quarterback would you prefer if you're betting Cleveland? I think I'd prefer Flacco. I think he's still better at this point. I was concerned about Flacco last week because we just didn't know what we're going to get out of him. And he looked pretty good outside of that one dumb pass that he made. It was kind of like the Rams had just scored. It was 20-19, and oh no, there was actually no, the Rams scored, or no, the Browns scored. It's 20-19. They missed the extra point. The Rams punted or something, and then the Browns got the ball back, and they were only down one, and like they just there's like 5 or 6 minutes left, and like all they needed to do was just like matriculate the ball downfield and get into field goal range and kick the game-winning field goal. But like Flacco, for some reason, he's like YOLO, just bomb it downfield until like double coverage is picked off, and then they had a nice return, and then the Rams ended up covering, and the game actually got out of hand. Like it was a close game for like 30 or 55 minutes of the game. So like that was like the one mistake Flacco made, but I don't know. This is a much easier matchup. We just saw what Jake Browning did to Jacksonville. And the Rams have a decent defense. It's not great, but it's not nearly as bad as Jacksonville's. Quacky T says, "Oh, I love jackpot Joe Flacco." Yeah, yeah, I definitely want Flacco starting over Thompson Robinson. Just Thompson Robinson has no experience. You just don't know where you're gonna get with him. Whereas like Flacco, it still looked like a half decent option. And like I said, Jacksonville's defense is so bad. Bagley says, I've clinched the top seed in fantasy, so I use a roster spot to stash the defense for week 15. Who would you recommend? Ideas: San Francisco at Arizona. Sounds pretty good. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Saints versus Giants. Falcons at Carolina. Indianapolis versus Pittsburgh is the other side of that. I think it's got to be Niners. I mean, if you can get the Niners, like they're the best defense. I'm kind of surprised that they're available in your league, because like usually they're available, but I don't know. Maybe someone just dropped them because they need the roster spot or something. Pittsburgh, I say no because you have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith in concussion protocol. They may not play. Although they have extra time to clear protocol, but still, you just don't know if that's going to be the case. Saints are a good option. I think that they should be able to frustrate the Giants, and I think this week is going to be pretty bad for Tommy DeVito, and it's a short week for the Giants. So I say Niners and Saints 1-2. Falcons have a ton of injuries. Don't do that. And then Colts versus the other side. If it's still Trubisky, then yes. I think, but in order, I think I'd go Niners, Saints, Colts. Falcons defense is maybe a dark horse choice there too. They would be if they're healthy. They're missing so many players. That's the problem. Maybe they're going to be healthier next week, but right now they're just so banged up. So I just don't know if I can trust them. Carolina can't score. Yeah. Yeah. Carolina is just, I get it, but like they just have so many injuries. I don't know. All right. Next game is Lions Bears. I love the Bears. I made them a pick of the month. Hopefully it wins. I feel good about this one. The Lions have been kind of in free fall, basically. I know they won last week against the Saints, but they got lucky early in the game with a fumble. Like Derek Carr just like botched the snap. I think Carr botched the snap, or someone dropped the ball or something. It was a weird play. It was not forced at all. And the Lions got out 21-0, like in a flash, like within 7 minutes. And then they did nothing for the rest of the game. And I think like they almost lost that game too. Like if that game went like 5 or 6 minutes longer, I think they may have lost that game. So like that doesn't bode well for this game. The Bears have been so much better recently. I think since like week 7, they're like 6th in defense. Like they're so good now with Montez Sweat and all the guys, all the secondary players they had injured are all healthy now. So I think the Bears should be able to slow down the Lions a little bit, and then especially outside, given that Jared Goff is just not nearly as good in the elements. And the Bears match up well against the Lions. The Lions can't stop scrambling quarterbacks. They can't stop outside receivers. I think like DJ Moore and Justin Fields, they should have great games. That's my stack. I'm only playing one DFS lineup this week. It's Fields with DJ Moore. And I can't make up my mind if Roshan Johnson's going to be in there, because now we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Jerick McKinnon as the cheap option. And like one of those guys should, there's a decent chance to outscore Roshan Johnson. So like, I don't think Roshan Johnson is needed anymore. But he's still a consideration though. But yeah, I think this line's too high too. Like, I made this. I think you can make the case that the Bears should be favored. I think they're ranked higher in EPA than the Lions are. The metrics hate the Lions because their defense is so bad. And like I said before, their offense isn't as good outside in the elements. And you know, Justin Fields looks so good against them 3 weeks ago. I think the Bears are going to win this game, which kind of hurts me because I bet the Lions to win the Super Bowl. I still like the Lions as a team. I just think this is a bad spot for them. It's a bad matchup. It's just I want to see them at home more, or in a dome. I don't think they're going to win this game. And if they do, I think it'll be by like a field goal. I can't see them blowing the Bears out. Next game is well, let's save the NFC South gauntlet for a second here before we get to some questions. Bagley says, sounds good. I'll probably choose whichever of those two has the best week 16 to 18 schedule. I can't imagine it's not the Niners. Like the Niners are so good. Like I would definitely just pick them up, like regardless of schedule, because they're just a dominant defense. J Dub says, hey Walter, first time here. I might have missed it. What is your best bet for Sunday? It is the Bears plus 3.5. If you can still get them there, you should be able to get a plus 3.5 somewhere. I did last night. Looking very quickly. Well, actually, maybe all the 3.5s are gone. I'm gonna look at Bookmaker real fast because they're usually like the last one, and it's so easy to buy up on Bookmaker. I definitely recommend having an account there, because like there's so many options on that site. The Bears are they're plus 3.5 minus 124. So yeah, I always say that minus 127 is the key vig there. Like minus 127 is what mathematically makes sense. It's like even. So anything less than minus 127 makes sense. So like plus 3.5 minus 124 is still pretty good. Yeah. Jadon, perfect timing. We love the Bears. Yeah, for sure. Your pick of the month has been on Bryce Young, Mac Jones, and now Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields is better than those two guys. Like Bryce Young is an abomination. Mac Jones, I thought he was better than he was, but apparently not. Justin Fields is so much better than them. He's played well. Like he's he had a bad start to the year, like that horrible game against the Packers and then Buccaneers. Like his first two games were just terrible. But ever since then, he's played really well. So I don't think he belongs in that pantheon. Chris says, I do like Chicago. The line appears to be drifting toward 3. Yeah, it seems to be 3 everywhere else. I saw there was like 3 minus 120 on DraftKings last night. And I think either Caesars or BetMGM had 3 minus 120 as well. But I think those are gone. I want to check BetMGM real fast. I think that they're the other one that had the Bears plus 3, 3.5 minus 120. BetMGM now is plus 3 minus 105. So most of them are gone. You can still get, like I said, plus 3.5 minus 124 at Bookmaker. Shout out to Quacky for shouting me out. Saw the clip earlier. I'm not sure what that was about, but sounds like there's some back and forth there. Cassandra Future says I can't find 3.5 anywhere. Yeah, like I said, Bookmaker is the last one that has it. And minus 124 is definitely doable. Cinder says you were right last week. So how about this week? I have to start Gibbs or Rashad White. The Bears' run defense has gotten pretty good. I think I'd go Rashad White. And I normally would go Gibbs, but Atlanta has, like I said, with talking to Quacky Takes, Atlanta's defense is so banged up right now. They're missing a lot of players. So I think it's like normally a bad matchup for Rashad White, or maybe not like that bad, but it's like below average matchup for Rashad White. But it's a better matchup because of the injuries, and also he's going to catch passes anyway. So he has a pretty low floor or pretty high floor to begin with. Yeah. So Chris saying, yeah. Bagley says, actually, the Eagles get the Seahawks, Giants, Cardinals, Giants last 4 weeks. Should I pivot to them? Well, you know what? It's funny is that like I almost like picked up some Tommy DeVito Rainmaker cards because the Eagles defense is so bad. But then I was like, there's a decent chance DeVito's benched after this week. I think the Packers are going to take it to him. If I knew that DeVito was starting against the Eagles in those 2 games, I think I would. I think I would go with. I think I'd pick up those DeVito cards because we saw what Sam Howell did to the Eagles, and then he really struggled against the Cowboys, and then even more so against Miami. Like defenses like the Eagles and the Jaguars, they just make any quarterback look good, unless it's like Mac Jones or something. But yeah. So Cassandra Future says 3.5 minus 24 isn't value over 3 even. Yeah, I mean that is true. It's like 3.5 minus 127 compares to 3 minus 110. So you're right about that. But on the other hand, like I think it's just more about comfort too. Like I don't know. It does make more sense to go 3 plus 100. You're absolutely right. But I don't think minus 120 for Vig is that tough to pay. You know what I mean? It's psychologically better. Yeah, that's all it is. Um, you keep it coming, Bagley. Yeah, for sure. JJ going over 100 and a touchdown. I actually would. I think you could parlay that 100 plus yards for Justin Jefferson and a touchdown. I think that's a good parlay to bet in that game. You can always split your bet 50% on 3, 50% on 3.5. That's a good suggestion too. All right, let's get to this brutal NFC South gauntlet here. We have the Panthers, Saints. For some reason, page is not loading right now. I can't move the page, but anyway, I'll talk about this game. And I actually forgot to talk about the props, so I'll get to those. I'll go back to those. So this game, I would consider betting the Saints, but I'm concerned that like Derek Carr is not going to be healthy. We don't even know if he's going to be starting yet. I was trying to find news on that. There's no news anywhere with that. And like I kind of remember the last time he played, like he like played hurt against the Buccaneers in week 4, and his team got destroyed. And I guess the same thing could happen, but the Panthers just match up so poorly against the Saints. Like even if Carr is injured, they could just run the ball with Alvin Kamara. And like this is why it's different than week 4, because Tampa is really going to get to run. And so the Saints just couldn't run with Kamara. That was the game where like Kamara caught like 14 passes. But like they couldn't run with him because Tampa is a great run defense, and Carolina has the worst run defense in the NFL. So feels like Kamara should be able to have a big game on the ground. Taysom Hill too, if he plays, he missed practice all week, so maybe he's not going to play. If he's out, like Kamara is great in DFS, just load him up. And this game reminds me of Panthers Titans from a few weeks ago, where like Panthers looked appealing because they're more than +3 against a bad team. But the Titans just matched up so well against them with Derrick Henry running against them, and it's the same thing with Kamara here. I don't know. And like, I don't want to trust Bryce Young. He's just so bad. He just sucks. Like, I just don't bet on him. The prop for this game, Alvin Kamara rushing yards. So it's 59.5, which is it seems so low. The Panthers allow the 3rd most rushing yards to opposing running backs. And Taysom Hill may not play. So like 59.5 over just seems so easy. I'm going to get back to the props I didn't do. For the Bears Lions game, DJ Moore. In the 6 full games of Justin Fields, and like if you exclude the ugly opener, like 5 games of Justin Fields, he's gone over I think 4 times of 71.5. So I think he's going to do that, especially against the Lions who can't stop the pass, as I said before. And then the other one is the Rams Ravens. So Isaiah Likely over 30.5 receiving yards. The Rams are so bad against tight ends. That's where you beat them. And Likely played well before the bye against the Chargers, and this is an even better matchup for him. So, all right, the other NFC South game, Buccaneers Falcons. As I said before, the Falcons have so many injuries. If they didn't have these injuries, I think I'd bet them on the money line just because you can't trust them to cover -2, which is kind of crazy. But they kick so many field goals in the red zone that they just have these weird results. Like they'll score 13 or 16, 19, 25. I don't know if they've gotten to 19, but like they've gotten to those other weird point totals in other games. And so like I think a likely result of this game is like 16-15 or 17-16, and like Atlanta wins. But they have a lot of injuries, and so I can't bet them here. The Bucs have injuries too, so like you can't just go with Tampa because they're the healthier team. They're not. They have a ton of injuries. Vita Vea may not play. Like he was DMP all week. So like not having him there is just a big boost for Bijan Robinson, who's getting more touches ever since the bye. So I like Atlanta a little bit, just not nearly enough to bet them. And the prop I have here is the Buccaneers allow the 5th most productions to outside receivers. So Drake London looks good. He's over. The prop is 45.5. I like the over. He's hit that 5 of the past 7 games, and like this is a better matchup. And he went for 54 yards against the Buccaneers the first time. So I don't see why he can't do it again. So Chris says Carolina has broke 20 points since their bye. It's kind of sad. I just can't see them being competitive. The Saints should be motivated to keep in the division race. Yeah, I think you're right. Like I think the Saints are the right side. Just like, do you want to back an injured quarterback at -6? Like what if they fall behind like a weird like turnover for a touchdown and then the Panthers get a field goal or something. They're down 10-0. Like, do you trust Derek Carr to come back? I don't know, man. I don't want to back an injured quarterback. That's like it's the one thing I hate doing. Quack Take says Panthers always seem to play decent against New Orleans. Well, I think they do in Carolina. I don't know if that's true in New Orleans. I could be wrong, but I seem to I seem to remember like the Saints at Panthers games always being close. And then when the Panthers go at the Saints, like they sometimes get blown out. Scary game. Which NFC South game are you talking about? Because I think they're both scary. Crackety says, so you're saying it's likely that he'll have a good game. So yes, it's probable that he will have a good game. Tall Paul Video says, Walt, love the content. Have you ever demoed the no ads version on here? I have not. Actually, I don't have a no ads subscription on the site, which is like some people are like why not? I think I want to have the ads on the site because I can see if there's like a malfunction or something. And if like there's like bad ads showing up, which like that hasn't been the case, for the most part, has for at least for a while. But like if something does go wrong, I need to see the normal version. So like I don't even have the no ads that I don't have that feature. Like I'd have to pay for it too. So which is I'd have to pay myself, which is kind of weird. Cinder says we also need Saints under. Yeah, I mean, with an injured quarterback and a bad Carolina offense, that makes sense. Chris says Saints always come back against the Lions. Almost came back. Although Carolina may have the better defense. Yeah, Carolina's a better pass defense, just so much worse against the run. So it's kind of hard to say. Like they're the opposite. Like the Lions stop the run well, but they can't stop the pass at all. So it's just whichever aspect of the defense is worse, you know. J-Dub says Tampa's a one-trick pony. Their go-to play is deep ball with Evans. They can't run the ball consistently. Yeah, for the most part, yeah, you're right. Rachaad White has had some good rushing games though this year. Like not too many, but he's had some good ones. And if you're playing a defense missing their top two defensive tackles, you know, I feel like running the ball should be easier, but like he's still going to catch passes though. And like that just makes him good for fantasy as long as you're playing in PPR or half PPR. Oh, Cinder says we're talking about the Saints under season win total. Yeah, for sure. I don't think we need this one though. Like what is their win total on? It's like 8.5, isn't it? Or is it 9.5? I can't remember. If it's 9.5, we definitely don't need this one. If it's 8.5, like still like I feel like we can still get there. With the under. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. All right, so we get to Colts Bengals. This line moved from like Colts are favored and now the Bengals are favored. I just feel like I don't think it's sharp money. I think that's just like the public loves Jake Browning suddenly. That's what everyone's talking about on DFS shows. Like every single DFS show I've heard is like, oh, Jake Browning, great value. You have to play him. It's 5,200. Have to play Jake Browning. And I'm like, I like don't hate the play, but you know, I mean, if it depends on the ownership. If everyone's going to Jake Browning, just try not to do that. And like, I think it's just like easy to get tricked by these horrible defenses. Like I mentioned the Eagles, Sam Howell. And I remember like this. I think this is the perfect like example for this, even though like the matchup isn't as bad. Remember, everyone played Sam Howell against the Giants. Like I think it was like 3 weeks ago or something. And it's because they saw him play well against the Eagles for the second time that year. And I'm like, yeah, the Eagles defense is so much worse. Like Sam Howell is just a tough matchup for him. Like, why would he play well? And just like, he just sunk like everyone's lineup if they played him. And like the Colts defense is not good. It's average. It's okay. And they might get Juju Brents back, one of the starting cornerbacks. So that'll help. But like, the Jacksonville matchup against the pass is so much easier. Like Jake Browning's definitely not going to have the same sort of game he had Monday night. You can still have like a decent game, but it's not going to be as great. And so I think you're just paying on pass production, and I think that's a bad idea. But as for this game, it just I don't know. Like I don't want to chase Jake Browning either. Like bet him. as a favorite, whereas like he was an underdog heading into this week before the Monday night game. I mean, um, and plus the Colts are getting Grover Stewart back. That's a huge deal. Like he's such a good nose tackle. He may not be 100%. That's like the only thing because like big players tend to not be 100% like in their first game back. But I mean, there's a chance. Like he's still young. He's young. He's a young player. Like there's a chance like he's in shape, and if he's there, he's going to shut down Joe Mixon. And so like I can see the Colts winning this game. I think the Colts are overrated though, so I don't want to bet them either. Just a tough spot. I don't like either side. I'm not going to bet this game. The last early game is Texans Jets. Quacky and I have the Jets on our super contest card. Wish us luck. It's always like miserable backing the Jets because if they fall behind, it's like, oh man, how are they going to score? But the Jets have won games at home against superior quarterbacks. Like they beat Jalen Hurts, they almost beat Mahomes. They frustrated Herbert. They don't almost beat him, but they frustrated Herbert a lot. They beat Josh Allen the first time. They could beat CJ Stroud, who's down Tank Dell. They could smother Nico Collins and also Noah Brown, and then CJ Stroud has to throw to like Tyler Conklin. And I don't trust the Houston offensive line to block against the Jets defensive line. And the Texans struggle against the pass. So like there's a chance Zach Wilson has like a somewhat okay game, but I don't trust him. Like he tends to do well in between the 20s, and then he just gets to the red zone and turns the ball over a lot. Just it's so frustrating, man. I can't get myself to bet this game. But I don't know. I don't even know what I have here. Like I have Texas minus 3.5. Like I'm so not into this game. This is the game I like least in the early slate. I just don't know what to make of this. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. But I really don't see a good betting opportunity here. Cinder 9.5. Where I think we're fine. I can't see the Saints getting the 10 wins. Like obviously you'd want them to lose and just not have to sweat it out. But I can't see him getting 10 wins. Sean says I could take one dog on the money line. Panthers, Eagles, Giants. Who do I take? Not the Giants. I like the Packers quite a bit. If Panthers have the bigger payout, I just don't trust Bryce Young. I think it has to be the Eagles. Like they have the best chance of winning. But the Panthers have the better payout. If you think that like Derek Carr is like seriously injured to the point that the Saints can't win with him, then I think there's some merit to taking the Panthers, but it's still a tough ask to ask like Bryce Young to go into the Superdome and win. He's had one win this year against the Texans, and like they were outgaining that game too. So and that was at home. I don't know. This Panthers team is so bad. Quack says this game is weird. I'm actually going to side with the Colts here. Any reason why? I just I don't really have. Is it just a Jake Browning fade? I could probably get into that. Quacky says I would take the Eagles personally. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think I'd go Eagles. Here's one for you: Jets defensive anytime touchdown. I think it's pretty good. Depends what the odds are, obviously, but you could talk me into that. Jets in the rain. Yeah, I mean, rain doesn't bother me that much. Like it's more wind than anything. But the Texans are a dome team, so playing in the rain is not natural for them. Texans' last 8 games have been decided by 1 score. Yeah, I guess that's true. Like they beaten like some shady teams by 1 score, like the Cardinals and the Buccaneers. So, yeah, Quacky says some stupid duck talked you into it. Well, I mean, we have some catching up to do in the Super Contest, so I think it's okay to take a risky pick. Chris says I think I trust Pelosi more than Wilson. Is on a football field? Because I think you might be right. Hurts is 27-3. End of story. Yep. I mean, people want to write off the Eagles, and they're quick to forget that they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Dolphins, and they beat the Cowboys the first time. So like that, as ugly as that Niners game was, like I don't think you should write off the Eagles. I really worry about their pass defense, though. I think it might be their undoing, but like they still have a chance to win. To say they can't win the Super Bowl is like crazy. Like, of course they can. I just don't think I don't think that, like I've been saying they're overrated because I don't think they were the best team despite them having the best record, but I still have them like sixth in my power ranking. So I still think they're a really good team. They just weren't a great team. Like they weren't the best team, despite having the best record. So Quacky says I've read the Eagles quite well this season, actually. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that I think you might be on the right side with the Eagles there. So maybe the one team I could say that about. I think you read some other teams pretty well. I mean, there have been some pitfalls for all of us for sure. Like we've all had our blind spots, but I feel like you've done a good job with some other teams too. All right, let's get to the late games. Once as I load the page up, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, and share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. I'm wearing a Walt Footballs t-shirt if you can see it. Actually, I had to look. I'm not sure these days. With like two kids, kind of hard to like keep track of what you're doing like outside of them. It's kind of insane. Anyway, Seahawks at Niners. So this is the big change. And by the way, I forgot to do props again, so I'll get to that in a bit. Seahawks Niners. So I don't think Geno Smith's going to play. Like Jacob, we had a call on Friday. Jacob was sending me these links, and one link was for like Pete Carroll, and he was talking about Drew Lock, and he's like, yeah, it's very exciting to see how Drew Lock's going to play. And it's like, do you think someone would say that if they thought Geno Smith was going to play? Like Pete Carroll seemed like over enthusiastic about Drew Lock. To the point where like it felt like he was lying to himself. But like Pete Carroll is like one of those like super optimistic guys. So like it's just I guess it's in his nature. But the Seahawks also promoted the quarterback they had in the practice squad today, which is like generally a bad sign for a quarterback or any player at that position playing in the game. So I think it's gonna be Drew Lock. I locked in the Niners. Get it locked. Again, I got locked in the Niners at -13 for 3 units, and I might do one more. I might go to 4 units. I just don't see a Drew Lock contents with the Niners. Like, yeah, it's like this is maybe arguably a good team. I don't know if the Seahawks are a good team, but like even if you want to make the case that the Seahawks are a good team starting a backup quarterback, it generally does not work against elite defenses. The Niners obviously have one of those, arguably the best defense in the NFL. Now that they have Chase Young, I think they're going to turn over Drew Lock quite a bit and just make this a very ugly game. I thought that the Seahawks had a chance with Geno Smith, but with Drew Lock, I think it's going to be a very ugly blowout. So it is telling that the line moved from 10.5 to 13. It was actually happening when I was doing the Odds Shopper show with Eitan Shander. And like we were deciding what to do for our super contest entry. And like when we started the show, the line was 10.5. And like by the time we were at like recapping our picks, the line was like 12.5. We're like, what is happening here? And it was the Geno Smith news. So yeah, just I would not even if you don't want to bet the Niners, don't back the Seahawks with Drew Lock. I think it's a mistake. Do I have a prop here? I do. George Kittle is receiving 50.5. He's gone over 6 of the past 7 times of that number. So I don't know why it's so low. The one time he didn't was against Seattle, but Seattle's not good against tight ends. They've allowed the 9th most production to tight end. So I feel like that was a fluke. I think Kittle should go over. Let me get to the some of the other props I missed. For Texans Jets, it's I don't know what this code is. Nico Collins under receiving yards at 67.5. Against the Jets defense, they're so good at stopping outside receivers. I know Collins kind of defied me last week. I went against him. He went over receiving yards like in an instant, and it's just like I didn't even have to sweat it out. It's just like over, which is like kind of like better. I'd rather lose like quickly than at the end. But I think that he's gonna not do well in this game, so I bet the under there. Jake Browning loves to throw his tight ends, so Tanner Hudson over 2.5 receptions. I like Tanner Hudson. I remember him playing for Tampa, and I recall like seeing him in the preseason because he was the backup behind like Gronk and like who else do they have? Can't remember the other. They had another tight end that was drafted highly and just he just kind of flamed out. I can't remember his name. Maybe you guys can help me, but he was Tanner Hudson's always like the 3rd string tight end on that team, and like he always looked good in the preseason. I always thought that he should get a chance, and now he is in Cincinnati, and like he's done really well. The Colts allowed the 7th most production to tight ends, so I like him. And then I talked about Drake London, so yeah, we're all caught up there. And we are, I think we're frozen again. Yeah, we're frozen again. So Jets defense, first touchdown, LOL. What's that, like 30-1 or something like that? I think that I mean, it's worth a shot. It might be the only touchdown if you think about it. Cinder says you love the Eagles against the Chiefs, Quackers. Yeah, I mean the Eagles does a nice cover. I said it really not perfectly. I think I like the Chiefs. I can't remember. I'm losing my damn mind over here. Yeah, I mean, that's the compliment, right? J Dub says, could this be a letdown spot for the Niners? Yeah, it could, but like against Drew Lock, like it doesn't matter. Like Drew Lock just can't. I don't think he can function against an elite defense like this. I just think it's a bad spot. Quacky T says, I think it could be, but Geno injuries have me concerned, of course. Yeah, that's the issue. Like Drew Lock is a terrible quarterback. Like he barely like moved the ball against the Rams. Like imagine him against the Niners. I just think it's gonna be bad. The next game is Vikings Raiders. This is a game that Aton and I have on the card. We have the Vikings -3. The key matchup here is Aidan O'Connell versus Brian Flores' blitzes, and the Vikings blitz the highest rate in the NFL. And Aidan O'Connell is terrible against the blitz, so it's a good spot for the Vikings. I think Justin Jefferson's back. Raiders defense, if they can't get to the quarterback, they suck, and Minnesota has a great offensive line. Just seems like everything's in favor for the Vikings here. I actually switched my pick to Minnesota. I had the Raiders earlier in the week. I have Minnesota now. My prop is Josh Jacobs under 74.5 rushing yards. The Vikings allow the sixth fewest rushing yards to opposing running backs. So Josh Jacobs could have a tough time getting to 74.5. I know he can like go the distance anytime touches the ball like he did against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs have a soft run defense. The Vikings don't. So I like the under there. Let's see. Sean says San Fran by 17. That sounds good to me. Yeah, OJ Howard is who I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah, Tanner Hudson's behind him, and also Gronk. Like he never had a chance in Tampa. I thought he should have gotten a chance. And they also drafted someone. Oh, K. Dotton. They also drafted K. Dotton, so like they had to get rid of him. So he says I've got a lock for you to take Seattle. yeah. I don't know. It's going to be pretty bad for Seattle, I think. I see them going to be voted off the show off these jokes, aren't I? I mean, we're all here for I'm all for bad jokes. There's no such thing as a bad joke. So like even a bad joke, like you can laugh at how bad it is. So Broncos at Chargers. I hate this game so much. I just like both teams match up horribly against each other. Like the Broncos, they want to run the ball. Chargers are good against the run. And the Chargers are get bad against the pass, but that requires Russell Wilson to throw deep. And we saw that last week against the Texans. Russell Wilson sucked. And then the Chargers, Denver's weakest is against the run, and Austin Eckler is not healthy. Denver's other weakness is against tight ends, and you have Gerald Everett on the other side. He sucks. But Denver's strength is against slot receivers that are number 2, and that's Keenan Allen. And so, like, I feel like in a game like that, like the under makes a lot of sense. Not that I like totals, but like that's the one total this week that's sticking out as the under 44 in this game. I just think both teams are gonna have like trouble moving the ball, and I see like a 17-16 or 17-13 game. Not sure which team's gonna cover, but I think there's a decent chance the Chargers do. Like I think that winning 17-13 makes sense, or 19-16, something like that. I think this is going to be a very ugly game. Last of the late afternoon games, we have Bills at Chiefs. The Chiefs have a ton of injuries, and it's kind of wild that the Bills are almost a pick 'em. Like they might be pick 'em by kickoff, or maybe even -1 by kickoff, which would be kind of insane. But it just goes to show you how many injuries the Chiefs have. Plus, like they can't catch passes. There's definitely a lot wrong with them. And like Quacky, you said that you've only read the Eagles right. Like I feel like you've read the Chiefs right, because you said it from the beginning. Like you're like, there's something wrong with this team, and that's definitely shown up in like two of the past 3 weeks. With them losing to the Eagles and then the Packers. this is the Bills Super Bowl, so I like the Bills here. My prop for this game is Josh Allen over 32 and a half rushing yards. So at the beginning of the year, I think, I don't know if it was Ken Dorsey or Josh Allen. Like one of them, I can't remember who it was, but one of them came out and said that they're not going to run the ball as much earlier in the year and they're going to run the ball later just to preserve Josh Allen because he got hurt last year. And like Josh Allen's rushing totals at the beginning of the year were so low. And like he was just kind of disappointing his fantasy owners. But he ran for 81 yards in his last game against the Eagles. I think it's like time to turn things on because they have to win all these games. And this is like something I like to do is bet mobile quarterbacks over rushing yards in the playoffs because they're so much more likely to run in important games. This is an important game, obviously, for the Bills. And so, like, this is almost like a playoff game. So I think Josh Allen should go over 32 and a half rushing yards, like, super easily. The prop in the Chargers game I forgot to mention is I mentioned Gerald Everett kind of sucks, but he should get over 28 and a half receiving yards against Denver's, like, terrible defense against tight ends. Let's see if there are any comments here. Chris says, why is the public still over 80% on Denver? Maybe the Chargers only scoring 6 against New England. Yeah, I can see that. Like, New England's terrible, and the Chargers, like, barely beat them. So I think it makes sense. And, like people love Denver now just because, like, they saw them win on Monday night against Buffalo. I feel like the Broncos have become a public team, which is funny because earlier in the year, the Sharps are betting them like crazy and losing until, like, the midpoint of the season. And now the public is all over them. Just feels like the public's a little late for that. Quacky says I'm leaning the Bills here. Yeah, so am I. I might bet this. I might bet this one. I'm not sure. Bagley says I'm not sure the Chiefs win this game, even with a healthy squad. To be honest, yeah, I mean the Bills are getting healthier. They're still missing Matt Milano. That's the big injury. But Rasul Douglas being there is huge, and they've gotten some other guys back from injury. So they're not nearly as bad as they were earlier in the season when they lost to the Patriots. So 3 more games to go. We have the Sunday night game, Eagles at Cowboys. Kind of touched on this earlier. I think the Eagles, like, what's that quote? Like the news of the demise is greatly exaggerated or something like that. Like I think that I don't see why like they suddenly would lose this game. The line was 2.5, now it's 3.5. Like we get value with this Eagles team, which is a great team coming off an embarrassing loss. So, like, I like the Eagles from that perspective, but, like, on the other hand, the Eagles' pass defense is so bad, and this is such a bad matchup for them with Dak Prescott, especially with Dallas being at home. Like, Dallas is so much better passing the ball at home with Prescott, Cooks, and CeeDee Lamb on that turf, like, in the dome. Like, it's just a bad matchup, and this is a rivalry that's gone to the home team a lot. So I could see the Cowboys winning by more than 3.5, but I think the most likely result is Dallas winning by 3. So I'm inclined to take the Eagles at plus 3.5. I just don't love it though. Like I don't know if I'm going to bet this game, but what I am going to bet, first of all, the props, Brandon Cooks over 44.5 receiving yards. He's gone over that 4 in his previous 6 games. It's a great matchup against the secondary, so I like that a lot. Same game parlay is right here. We had Dak Prescott over 295 passing yards, CeeDee Lamb over 92.5 receiving yards, Brandon Cooks over 44.5 receiving yards, and then DeAndre Swift under 53.5 rushing yards. So we kind of mentioned the Swift angle of this earlier, where like Dallas is really good against the run, and the Eagles might be behind. So that just means Swift is not going to run the ball. And as I mentioned before, Swift ran 18 times against Dallas in the first meeting. He had like 43 rushing yards. So even if he gets the volume, he may not even get there. And I'm not sure he's going to get the volume. And then just over on this Dallas passing attack, the Eagles are great against the run. They're so pass funnel. I like this parlay a lot. We hit the parlay on Thursday night, so hopefully we do that again. Titans at Dolphins. So I don't have props for these 2 Monday night games yet. I'm going to do that Monday afternoon. Titans Dolphins though, the Titans are going to be without Jeffrey Simmons. So like they're just going to be so much weaker defensively, and like this is already a bad matchup for them because they can't defend outside receivers, and that's where Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle play. So yeah, good luck. Good luck, Tennessee. It's kind of like it's the same matchup as Washington last week. Same exact matchup. So like even like on the other side of the ball, like Washington wants to run. I know they throw a lot, but because they're behind. Washington wants to run the ball with Brian Robinson, but they couldn't because they fell so far behind. And Tennessee wants to run the ball with Derrick Henry, but they won't be able to because they're going to fall so far behind. So love Miami there, and then Packers Giants. I've heard some like people I respect say, they kind of like the Giants at first, and then I kind of talked them into it, and they're like, oh, okay, Packers make sense because like the Giants beat Washington, they beat New England, and so suddenly they're 4-8 instead of 2-8, and they don't look that bad now because their record is not terrible, and like I think people are talking themselves into the Giants here, and this is a huge step up, man. Like the Washington and New England are two of the worst defenses, or two of the worst teams in the NFL. The Packers are a really good team. Like they're sixth in net EPA. Like they've been so good recently. And it's not just a 1 week thing. Like they beat Kansas City. They went into Detroit and like they were blowing out the Lions, and then they beat the Chargers before that. It just feels like Jordan Love has kind of figured it out. They're getting healthier. Devondre Campbell was back last week. Jair Alexander may return this week. We'll see. Aaron Jones may return as well. I think Eric Stokes is coming back. I didn't quite see that, but I know he's practicing fully. So having him there is going to be good. I just think the Packers are just so much better than the Giants. And I think this line's mispriced because the Giants won those two games. If the Giants had lost those two games, which is like they easily could have, because, Washington and New England, they're kind of like on the same level. I just think that, especially that New England game, it came down to the field goal at the end. New England missed it. Like if the Giants lost that game at the very least, like I think this line would be 7 or more. And so I think this line is just way too low. So I like the Packers. And like I said, I'm going to have props on these games on Monday. Let's see. Dallas TTO. What's TTO? I'm not sure about that. Cooper Kupp this week. I like Nakua better. The Ravens are better against, or the Ravens are worse against outside receivers than slot receivers. So I think that bodes well for Nakua more than Kupp. Kupp just hasn't been the same. TTO, the team total over. Yeah, I like that as well. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah, team total. Yeah, I like that as well. Yeah, if you're gonna bet Dallas, like I think it makes more sense to do that. For sure. Someone right says Tyrod Taylor starting was just speculation. I think they want to see what they have in Tommy DeVito because he won the 2 games, but it could get ugly. Like I said, there's a chance that DeVito's benched in this game. So if you're thinking long term, you're like, oh, I'm gonna pick him up and start him against the Eagles. It just may not work. So just be prepared for Tyrod Taylor to go in. Yeah, Dallas team total over. Yeah. I think that's the best way to bet Dallas in this game. So, all right, I think that's it for the comments. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and commenting and watching and everything. I really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck with all your bets, and good luck with fantasy and DFS and whatever you're doing with the NFL in about 12 hours. It's gonna. Oh, we have one more question. Timmy Bowie says, I have to start 2 of 3. Breece Hall, James Cook, DeAndre Swift. Who you got? So I said I like the DeAndre Swift rushing under. So it kind of makes me want to go to Hall or Cook. But like you kind of have to kind of make sure that Hall is healthy, because he was DMP limited this week. He may not play, or like he might be limited. So just like look out for any like reports Sunday morning, like maybe Schefter or Rappaport's going to have something. But like if you don't hear anything negative and he's not inactive, then I think I would go Hall, Cook. I think I would go Cook no matter what. I think he's the best matchup. And then I would go like in order. I'd go Cook, Hall, and then Swift. But like I said, just watch out for news on Hall. Quacky says, great show and great interactions to everyone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Good luck with okay, one more final question. Bagley says, do you think it's okay to bench players in the final week for a better playoff matchup? It wouldn't affect who else makes the playoffs. That's tricky because, like on surface level, I'd say I don't care. I wouldn't care if they did that. It might create some bad blood in your fantasy league. So, just make sure the other people don't get salty or anything and like disinvite you from the league. So I've been kicked out of a couple leagues in my life. Not just because of fantasy stuff, just because um just like comments I made on the site. Like I was in a league with like some guys from Las Vegas, and I met them because I go out there once a year, and they're actually the readers of the site. And like I was in their league for a year or two, or maybe it's just 1 year. Chris is actually in the league too. And I get kicked out because a comment I made on the site, and the guy, the commissioner of the league is like, he's like, I don't want to be friends with someone who has this opinion, and so he just like unfriended me and like hasn't contacted me since. And I was like, okay, like, like I don't care what anyone says, really. Like anyone could comment about anything, and I just like whatever. Like everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but it's funny that I would get kicked out of a league because of that. I also got kicked out of a league. It was like an experts league. Like someone brought up like a joke I made on Jerks of the Week like 10 years ago. And I got an email like that night. They're like, it'll be too controversial to have you in our fantasy league. I was like, I kind of didn't want to be in this league anyway, because like it's not for money. It was just like for it's just kind of for pride almost. And like it's an experts league, so quote unquote experts league. So I don't know. Those are the two leagues I recently got kicked out of. And Kenny and I got kicked out of a league too because Kenny, this is like a long time ago. I think like Kenny sent like virus emails. It's like not like directly, if you open it you get a virus. It's like one of those, he just forwarded emails containing links to like shady links, because like one of the commissioner like really like went against the trade that they made. Like he vetoed it like last second. It was like such BS. I was like, and Kenny's like, can you believe this is happening? I'm like, yeah, this is real. This is messed up. Like, I don't want to be in this league. And so he's like, do you have any virus emails? I'm going to send it out to the entire league. I'm like, okay. And so I just forwarded to him. So we got kicked out of the league for that way. That was the first league I've ever been in with Kenny. But we've been in a league together since like 99. It's been insane. We have known him forever. Yeah, Cook is my favorite too. Had to choose the other two. Yeah, so just look out for news on Hall, whatever. Bagley, yes, I was going to last year, but didn't. Cost me the title. Yeah, Chris says I remember that league. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a good league. It was a competitive league. And Chris, you got hosed in the title. I think I lost the connection for a second, but I said that Chris, you lost on the kneel down in the championship or something like that, and I'd feel salty about that, and I wouldn't want to do it again. But like I guess we didn't have to. I don't even know if that league still exists, but like it's just funny to get kicked out of that just because it's just like an offhand comment I made on the site. Like I didn't even like remember it until you brought it up. It's just so stupid. Anyway, like. Yeah. Oh, that was a different league. Okay. Anyway, yeah, good luck with everyone. Good luck with everything, everyone, with your bets, your fantasy, DFS, whatnot. And we'll be back on Tuesday with Jacob to talk about week 15. Kind of crazy that they're only 4 weeks after the Sunday and Monday. It's just like hard to believe that the season's winding down, but yeah, hopefully we have a good finish to the year. And thanks again, everyone, and have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you Tuesday.